afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the debut show of Don't Whistle at Night podcast. I'm your guest co host, Michelle Desrochers. You guys will know me from the Outer Realm. I'm also the manager of the United Public Radio Network, which I am thrilled to be able to represent because it's a terrific network. And in doing so, I get to work with amazing people and bring on new content and new shows and just really get to know people. And it's a learning experience because everybody specializes in something. And this is one of those shows. So Don't Whistle at Night podcast is going to be something unexpected, something extreme, and something amazing. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on the host, Don Yazzie and Darren Yazzie. Hello, guys. I feel weird saying welcome to your own show, but so welcome to your own show. Okay. So yeah, this is great. Chat room is filling up. Hey, everybody in chat. Nice to see you. A lot of familiar faces. Thanks for tuning in. So, guys, what do you think?
Darren, go ahead.
It's getting
pretty. Sounds like I put your mic down. Can't hear you.
Oh, shoot.
There we go. That's all right.
Yeah, it's getting pretty exciting right now. I think this is never been on like a wide broadband, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good right now. It's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is great. Don, how about you?
Feeling great. This is a new experience. A great experience, and I feel like we're in great hands, and we can't wait to reach out to a new audience. And
yes,
hopefully you guys can hear some nice scary stories before you go to sleep.
Ooh, well, that's what we like. Well, I'm going to start off basically by letting people know how I met Dawn, first off, was through my friend Kat, who has a Paranormal Heart podcast. And she sent me, because I put up all the shows for a lot of the hosts. So she sends me this information and I just messaged her back and said, I want in. Whatever this is, I want it. So anyway, so here we are. So hey, speaking of devil.
Hey, Kat. There she is.
There she is. So essentially, Dawn came on the Outer Realm and we basically put it out there. And I said, no, there's so much amazing information here that I wanted to make sure that the whole world got to share on it. Because what people don't realize when they're watching all of our shows here at United Public Radio is that we actually have a much larger international audio listenership, which is because of the FM side of our network. So a lot of people get to hear all the shows. Carrie Lynn, hello. Carrie Lynn is the host of one of our Friday shows, 6 p.m.
hello.
Eastern, which is Spirit Switchboard. She is incredible also. Incredible. We have an amazing lineup of shows here. And this is one of them. So I'm going to get the show started. Okay. Why did you want to, what caused you to want to have a podcast? Because I know you have a lot of stories and such, which we'll get to. But you guys have been thinking about this for a while and you actually sort of got the ball rolling.
It's probably just to share with the whole world, everybody else, like there's a lot of amazing stories of paranormal to, UFO, Bigfoot, everything. And a lot of these stories, our own people tell us to be quiet. Shh, don't tell anybody,
Yeah.
and especially from our neck of the woods, we're told to be quiet a lot and we just share amongst each other, and that's how I fell in love with, hearing stories, especially scary stories, ever since I can remember hearing them and eventually having a lot of my own, becoming an adult and realizing that this world is really, really strange and mysterious. And I would like to, try to put some of this puzzles together. And I like to share with everyone else there because, I know that people in Chicago, people in, California, they don't hear stories like these, from the Navajo Nation. And I believe that everywhere across the North and South America, every one of these indigenous communities have their own, unique scary stories and
Mm.
culture references to everything as well.
Mhm.
And I like to bring that out, because us being indigenous and Native Americans, we have vast different cultures and different beautiful
You,
things. But yeah, I
yes.
like to share that.
The oral history is phenomenal and varies as well. Darren, how about you? What are your thoughts on going public with this?
For me, it kind of always started with the older people talking and telling stories in the at the nighttime, fires cracking, no electricity in the house. Everybody's just
Mhm.
listening to the elder tell their stories. I remember my grandmother telling uh, stories, and she never spoke. There's no English. She didn't own a TV.
Mhm.
She was just living off the land. To a woman, uh,
Mm.
and
Which is
she would tell
amazing.
a story. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It like I was telling you guys, it gets really third world out there to the point where uh, there are people out there on the Navajo Nation that still live without water or electricity.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and they manage to live, and it's quite unique. Some of the stories that I was told by my grandmother, and she even to the point where she told us of like a woman giving birth to a moth. That what does that sound like? That sounds like very much like the Jersey Devil type deal.
Yeah. Yes,
And
yes.
also she would
Weird stories.
tell us stories of mermaids living in the lake, and
Mhm.
there was no word for a mermaid, so she just basically like people that
Yeah.
lived in the water type deal. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Water
stories like these that
spirits.
just always, yeah, it's stories like these that just made me wonder as a kid and scared, literally scared me
Mm.
straight, like scared me to the point where
That would do it.
uh
What, you didn't want to go outside?
yeah, didn't want to go
Yeah.
outside at night, like
Yeah.
nothing like a little
Yeah.
childhood trauma to keep the kids at home at the nighttime.
That'll do it.
Also just growing up, you uh you're just constantly told stories, and
Mm.
you really don't believe it until you actually see it. And some of these
Mm.
stories, like I managed to see like ghosts. I seen a spirit. Me and my family seen a spirit floating on the road, and I had my own encounter with Bigfoot out there
Mhm.
on the reservation. Um, UFOs. I'm constantly like, I think these things are just like following me too. To tell you the truth, like
That would
I have
make you an
I have a
experiencer. Yeah.
yeah, like I have
There's a lot.
I have so much paranormal stuff that happened in my life to the point where
Mm.
uh like let's tell the people, let's tell everyone what really goes on the
Mhm.
Navajo Nation. And uh this
Yeah.
is this is why we jumped in. This is how I met Danny, uh
Mhm.
with Bigfoot that we seen out there um at El Moro, New Mexico. And
Mhm.
that's where the ball started rolling, and we just started talking back and forth, trading stories, and uh,
Mhm. And here
even
you
got to the
are.
point. Yeah, and here we are. So
Mhm.
um, let's do this. Like let's do this. And we got all sort of stories we've been passing back and forth. Like there's a man out here that's seen a slender man. What he says, but it wasn't.
Mm.
And this is where it gets weird. Is it wasn't just one? He's seen multiple of them together. So slender men, like the possibilities are out there right now. And uh,
Well, Slender Man is one of those interesting things because he's considered a tulpa, right?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
mean, the Slender Man story stems back to a chat room that created a character, a gaming chat room that created a
mhm,
character. And I'll tell you where it gets weird, where it falls into what you guys are doing. So basically, they created it with so many characteristics that there started being sightings around the world of the Slender Man. And they kept tweaking his character. They kept giving him more and more and more. And then there started being more and more and more sightings. And now there are multiple sightings. So this was something that was created by people with intention and energy. And it kind of makes you wonder about the Santa story. Because you know how
Yeah.
many people put like characteristics and build on the Santa Claus character to the point where there are paranormal researchers who have investigated just the Santa story, because some of them have Santa being really aggressive and just disappearing and not real happy and jolly at all. So,
Yeah.
but that's what a tulpa, tulpas are created. It goes way back to old ancient traditions, like Jewish traditions, where they would create tulpas out of clay and give them character. But now with this new age of technology, obviously you don't have to even go to those extremes. You could just do it right.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of we have this tribe that lives inside the Navajo Nation, a different tribe. We're cousins, but just
Yes.
separate language and religions. So they're called the
Yes.
Hopi, and
Yes.
they make little kachina dolls. And these little dolls, they'll run around at night, and then
Yes.
they'll actually pick one female to stay around and be around them their whole entire life.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of
See,
weird, right?
it's the same idea, right?
Yeah.
So now you guys have
Mhm.
like these Slender Man sort of things, like running around all over the place, and they're not overly friendly.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Uh,
there's a lot of
that
I think right. Do you think it comes from like a lot of suicide rates as well? Because we have a lot of suicide rates too. Like a lot of weird things go around on the Navajo Nation, and when someone takes their own life, you'll see them haunting that house and that
Mhm.
family. It gets really. I think it should be documented. Because there's
Well,
a lot of proof.
there
For
is.
days.
I mean, think about it this way: if you are the body is just a vehicle, right? The
Oh yeah.
energy within us is
Yep.
where all the power is. But if whatever it is that makes someone get to the level where they want to take their own life, that stays in the spirit, because your spirit is who makes you. It's not your physical being. All of your life memories or lifetimes memories, everything remains in your essence, right? It doesn't,
Mhm.
because when the brain dies, I mean, there are people who die who have recollections. You look at some little kids that says, "Oh, I was your mom in the last life." And mom's kind of going, "What?" They have worked with kids who says, "Or I was a man. This was my name. This was my wife, and I was buried over here." And when they go and look it up, they have this 3-year-old kid who's never been there. There's no way he could know. And they go and they find all the information. So it says that there's something to be said for how all of our past lives, or all of our knowledge, our emotions, stay within our essence, our spirit, right? So if that happens, and just because the body stops working, you're still going to be getting around if you're stuck. And if you were so sad or depressed to the point of leaving your body, leaving this place, it doesn't mean you're not going to still be sad or depressed. You still need to be guided. Your shaman or medicine man could just say, "No, go on." Like, you can move people on. I mean, I've moved on all kinds of people, just by making them realize, like, it's okay. You're okay to go. Sometimes just grieving families can hold people back from wanting to move on. But sometimes there are dark things that hang around, and you guys seem to have a whole lot of, various dark energies out there who could be holding them back as well.
Mhm.
right.
I
Woo.
mean, if your
And
car
learn.
stops working, you're still going to get around, right? Yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Darren, if you jump out of your car doesn't start when you're done the show. You're still going to mind your way around. It's just sort of the same idea.
right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Hmm. That's just one of the mysteries that we just try to unravel,
Yeah.
especially right
Yeah.
here in the show that we're starting. There's so many questions that
Yeah.
seem to be that just need to be answered, but I don't know. It seems like every you answer a question, then like 1,000 more pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're
Yeah.
gonna try our best. We're gonna do everything we
Good
can
question.
to
Mm-hmm.
solve these questions. We have so much paranormal uh, events that happen out here in the Navajo Nation, down to UFO people encountering UFOs, families getting attacked by aliens, and everything from lizard men to rat people. Bigfoot,
Yeah.
ghosts, spirits haunting the highways out here,
It tells
dirt
me you guys
roads.
have a lot of portals or
Oh,
gate
oh,
or gateways,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
which
Actually, Navajos actually believe in portals. That's how we came to this world that we live in, is through a portal, traveling
mhm,
through the worlds that we. I think it's
mhm.
3 worlds that we came. Now we're here.
Destruction
So
of the last wills. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't
So
doubt, because because I have indigenous, background as well here up in Canada, and there is that belief that you can travel back and forth. We're travelers as well because you're so connected with the ethereal world. You're so connected with the elements and working with elemental spirits. Like medicine man, a shaman will tell you, no, you can do this. You're not limited to being here in the physical. I think it's I say the powers that be, being more people power, are the ones that hold us back here. I think sometimes we forget where we come from, and this is what I love about the Native American cultures, is all of and cultures throughout the world, indigenous cultures throughout the world have an oral history that they keep going and they keep teaching you as you grow from child into an adult. And
Yeah.
that doesn't happen a lot in other cultures. You know, Kat
yeah,
had a question for you guys. What does the Navajo Nation feel about you two starting a podcast to share your stories and encounters? That's a really good question.
yeah. Actually, yeah.
Coming from I know the elders, the people older than us, they would pretty much prefer us to keep quiet on
Yeah.
all subjects and keep
Uh-oh.
not even tell
Rebels.
your mother. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't even talk about it because they say that
yeah.
you're only strengthening that realm to come into this realm a lot. And there's also some that have a lot of stories, and they're still unsure if they're gonna come on the show. I open doors and putting out a little bit posting here and there saying, hey, we have this show, Don't Whistle at Night, come on, share, this is an
Mm,
indigenous podcast, and get your story out there because no
mm,
one's ever heard the story, on the
mhm.
other side of the world. They would love to hear it.
They do.
And there is some that are willing to come on, and we just need to pick a date.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I think everyone is would like to share because we have vast experience of different cryptids to you name it, even
Mhm,
to skinwalkers surviving in death cult, whole bunch
mhm,
of good stories, and I believe
mhm,
that getting our stories out there and talking about it, and from one indigenous community to another indigenous community, we can
mhm,
help put this pieces of puzzle of this life together.
mhm.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Darren.
Yeah. I always wanted to try this. Always wanted to do a podcasting. I've been telling my family, like I think I want to do this, and then we did a couple of interviews, and I was sitting there telling my father, like, yeah, I think I can really get into this podcast business because driving to work and driving here and there, I always listen to a podcast.
Mhm,
Paranormal now. Now I get the opportunity to be a part of that community. And
mhm,
it makes me happy to know that there's gonna be people out there that's gonna listen to us and tune in every week. Like what I do with
mhm,
just a drive to work.
mhm.
Um, so like,
But
well, let's see what they listen to now. Let's see what they have. Like now I get to be a part of that community, and uh,
mhm.
I have your your blessing to do that, and it,
Yeah.
it's it's a
Same here, Kat.
remarkable uh, experience right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we got the stories. I know everybody's been into skinwalkers. We got all sort of skinwalkers, and we have people lined up right now, and uh,
And people
I'm
are
actually looking
fascinated with
into.
skinwalkers,
Oh
right?
yes, they are. Like
I,
we
I
hear them
can't
all the
get over
time.
it. Yeah, it's one of those topics that I mean, of course, it's probably because of the popular TV
Mm,
show, but but
yeah.
it's something that people they just can't get enough of. And I think it's
Oh
so
yeah.
surreal to them because I mean, there are a lot of people researching Bigfoot because they're in all different parts of the world, for example, right?
Hmm.
Same with Dogman.
Mhm.
They're all over the world. They just have different names. But skinwalkers is something that almost seems to be, and I mean, if if they have some other name in some other part of the world, I mean, I haven't heard it as of yet, you know. Um, but at least I don't think I have, but who knows? Someone may have thrown it out there at me. But on this side of the world, this is something that seems to be a lot with indigenous people throughout the Americas.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
It's
the
a
information is
it's a
limited,
culture
I guess is
taboo.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
You would have to go straight to
Uh,
the source for that information. Then the
yeah.
closer
And
you get to the southwest, the warmer you'll get on getting the best information on that.
yeah.
But you're the
And
experiencers as well. It's not something that's just made up, like, oh, it's just like oral history, like, like people, if people can't see it, they have difficulty, like the Thunderbird, they were all over the place. There's still sightings of them to this day, but people are just like, oh yeah, well, and Skinwalker seems to be super interesting, but people just don't know. Like it's a hard pill to swallow because many indigenous people aren't allowed to talk about it, or they fear talking about it because they don't want to become victimized.
Yeah, that's that too. And also they could have a family member like an uncle, an aunt, or a grandmother or grandfather that is a skinwalker, so they would like to protect their identity as much as possible. Because usually if one person is a skinwalker, the whole family would kind of know. Like he would live over there in a hogan, like probably an acre lot. And every
Hmm.
night, every now and then, they would go outside and get something in the car, and they would see their grandpa just cruising by, like a half horse or a half dog,
Hmm.
just flying by, or he'd be coming back from over yonder with a 30 pack of beer.
Hmm. Well,
So yeah, so they would have to keep the identity secret because once the identity is revealed, 3 days they're gone. Y-
wow.
Yeah, the third day they're gone. The last day is a more excruciating death because their whole face would change to a dog. Their hands would turn to a paw, a dog's paw, and
Hmm.
they would howl in the hospital. They'd be howling. Their whole face would turn to a snout. The
That's
doctors, the nurses would all see this. This is common on the Navajo Nation hospitals. They would see this on a regular basis. People dying, shifting on their deathbed, and then
that's
finally
crazy.
gone.
Yeah.
It
So that
is.
it's a physical
yeah.
shift.
Yeah, it's
Right there.
physical, very physical, right in front of your eyes. A lot of my family, they'd be out, out in the boonies, partying. A whole bunch of people, they'd be all, parked together with the little headlights on. They'd be drinking, and one guy would just shift in front of them, right in front of them. In front of them. It happens to me too. It happened to us, growing up and partying on the reservation. I'm not no saint. I ain't no saint, but seeing all these things and surviving to be this age, it's a
Hmm.
milestone because the life
Wow.
expectancy on the Navajo Nation's at 32 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is it, it is true. This is one of the things that I kind of wanted to unravel, especially in my area. There's this story of I remember hearing it as a kid when I was a boy. My cousin
Hmm.
coming up to me and said, like, "Hey, did you hear they shot a skinwalker last night?" And the FBI came by, and the
FBI no
skinwalker
less.
was like, yeah, like
They come by a lot.
the person was still half transformed. I guess got shot in the spine, and the FBI came, and then I was listening to YouTube, and then I heard the Navajo Nation Rangers talking about it. So right now, uh, I'm looking into that. So that'd be something to look forward to on the podcast.
Yeah.
I know the people in my area. From what I know, there was
Mhm.
one that was shot and taken to the hospital, and from there they told all the Native American uh, nurses, doctors, whatever, to get out, and they had a white doctor and physicians come in
Did they
to
take them away? Like, did
to
they take the
yeah
Skinwalker away?
they
I
yep
bet you they
yes
did.
they took him away. They took him
Oh,
away.
I bet you they did.
And as for
Mm.
what they did with that person,
Ooh.
Ooh, dum, dum,
it's all
dum.
up in the air. But
We
it's
know, don't we, people?
Oh,
yeah,
he's
it's
teaching the government how to open portals and curses. Oh,
yeah
that's not good. That's not good.
yeah
I mean, it's no.
yeah yeah
That's not good.
yeah. The government
But
got some now. So, but
uh-oh.
that's one subject I want to get into is uh, something
Yeah.
the people can look forward to is stories like these that happen on the reservation. These are so local, it's so close to
Mm.
home, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of other events that happen out on the reservation. Stuff like this is something that we want to look into and
Mm.
bring it out.
On camera,
As
catch it
for
on camera,
the
definitely.
yeah, as for the
Mm.
good and bad, dealing with
Hmm.
skinwalkers, man. So being a Native American, um, we're pretty much just subjugated to all witchcraft and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
Yep. You
Wow.
gotta get
it's
your hair
frightening, but it's
cut. Yeah. Take care of your
yeah, it's
clothes because any little thing they can get off you. They
mm,
they chant a lot. So they have different chants to perform different curses.
Hmm.
Death chants and chants to help them recover, chants to help them fly and get away and escape. So there's a lot
Hmm.
of different chants. Even like our own medicine man, they have different chants on healing. They
Hmm.
have different chants on like with PTSD because
Hmm.
whenever our warriors would come back from war, they wouldn't go home right away. They would stay away from the family for 13 days.
Hmm.
Then they would get closer to the village and they would have to stay away from the village for 4 more days to make sure that when they took a life, that spirit didn't follow them all the way back home to their family, to their woman and to their children where they wouldn't, abuse them or have any PTSD and outbursts. So they would
Hmm.
have all these ceremonies and different things that you would have to do and chant and sing.
Hmm.
There would be no sleeping for 4 days. You have to do all these rituals.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's vast. It's a lot of things to
Yeah.
cover.
Oh, I
If
can
we got a lot of
imagine.
time. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people come in that are very traditional as well and have more knowledge. And we're gonna have people come in that actually escape these death skinwalker caves that they were almost sacrificed. And even we're gonna have some people that had their parents was about to be a skinwalker that learned everything but didn't go through with the child sacrifice. So he didn't go through with that child sacrifice, so they took his sight. He was blind for a year and he met another good medicine man and he received his sight back and he married his daughter and he became a Navajo Nation police. This is all back in the 60s and 70s. And he was
Wow.
a Navajo Nation police and he was battling skinwalkers at night with his magic that he learned to go on the offensive against them. So we're gonna have some great stories
Wow,
coming up.
that sounds incredible. It
yes,
goes to show you how deep the ancient medicines, natural medicines, and the tradition, how deep it goes because people are going to be hearing this going, what? Magic? What? Yeah, it goes back to like ancient cultures. This is all, hidden knowledge. You look at even the druids,
Yeah.
of the Celtic druids. This is stuff that there's no written documentation for the most part. This is just stuff that stayed up here and got the orally passed down, and they did like amazing things. So sounds a lot like this sort of an idea when you're talking about the different traditions and the magic and the healing
Mhm.
rituals and
Yeah.
so on.
Yeah, a lot of the times I compare the skinwalkers like, the special forces of the unseen realm, and
Yeah.
they do a lot of jobs. They actually. Oh, hey, Avery, he's gonna be my next guest coming up. He's a
Woohoo!
yeah, Apache Reservation cryptid investigator. So he's gonna have some
Beautiful.
great stories as well. Hello, Avery. Can't wait to
Looking
have you
forward to
on here.
that.
Yeah,
I
he's
might have
also
to
a
just
quant
like
fidelity.
keep you live and start just producing a show so I can get all this.
That'd be cool.
Uh,
Uh,
oh yeah. One a couple of things is too. We want Native American PD. That's one thing that we're looking for. We I know we have a couple uh, Navajo and Apache uh, police, and
Yeah.
uh, I have one lined up that him and his deputy whatnot was working on the Navajo Nation, and one report that he caught they had to go to was just a family dispute, and when they got there, when they stepped out, uh, a lady came up and blew white bone bone mist in their face, and they blacked out.
Powder.
It got so bad that one of them actually had to quit because he was having heart problems after that. You
Oh,
know, it, it's one of the frights and the horrors of working for the
It's
police
very
department
real.
out here in the
Yeah.
reservations. It's very real. It's a real thing, and
mm-hmm.
that's one thing that I want to do is get as many police or emergency response
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
details.
I got
Because
some.
they're
Any
considered so credible, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah,
being like
yeah.
professionals.
It's
Yeah. We
and
have
it brings more reality to it. When a police says like
Yes.
yeah, like yeah. Uh, I had one that was talking about him and his department were chasing the ghost car. You know,
Mm.
like like spirits on the road. It's so weird. Crazy.
a lot of
That's
ghost
Seeing
cars.
ghosts walking around
A
the
lot of ghost
streets, and
cars. Yeah.
yeah,
sorry,
Whoa,
guys.
what
I just
happened
need to
there?
get my lighting
Sorry.
better there. Try
Oh
that.
no, you're good. You're good.
There we go. Nope. Still got a thing on my nose. 1 second. I just want to make it look I'm doing it. You carry on.
uh, uh, yeah. That's one thing that I want to look forward to. People look
Yes.
forward to is the Navajo Nation PD. Apache PD, and everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even just
Even the
regular
horrors
people
of
too.
even just the horrors of working as the police department. I know one had to quit because it got so graphically horrible to the point where uh, he just couldn't deal with the trauma, of
Hmm.
working and seeing. I hate to say it so explicit, but decapitated people, seeing
Hmm.
dead bodies, rotting bodies,
That
and
gets to
that's
be very overwhelming. I mean, I can
yeah,
see this is where people
yes,
end up with major PTSD.
yes.
So when you throw in all of the other stuff, it's just. Do you feel it's like because there's such a blend of stuff in your area? Do you feel it's almost like walking on eggshells or like living? I don't want to say in fear. I mean, some people are very intrigued by the paranormal. Some people are very intrigued by seeing UFOs and so on. But there's a lot more hardcore things there. You've got
Mhm.
Bigfoot, some aggressive, some not. You've got dogmen, usually aggressive. You have skinwalkers, definitely aggressive. You've got this scale. And let's not even get into the reptilians,
Tweakers.
aka lizard people. Yeah,
Mm,
portals that you could just
Yeah.
like disappear in,
Yeah. There's
walk off the wrong place, off the wrong
yeah.
path.
Yep, just herding sheep, and you just end up somewhere, back in the Anasazi culture days. That really does happen. That happened to my aunt. She's out herding sheep, and she's
God,
walking
of
on this
course.
path,
Yeah. Of course,
walking on
yes.
this, walking on this path, and she's just looking down, and she noticed that this trail started getting into a wider trail, and then before you know it, there's like steps, like stone steps the Anasazis made. She's going up, and she looked left and right. She's seen pottery, all stacked up, different sizes on her left and right. She was in a cave of a mouth, exiting a cave. And as she was getting closer to the exit, she was hearing all these laughing, these voices, women, children, men. Everyone's having a good time. And she stopped. She realized that she went in through
Like a
a
time slip.
rainbow bridge. Yeah, because the
Wow.
Navajos, we call portals Rainbow Bridge. So she went through a
Interesting.
rainbow bridge, and she turned around and went back the same exact way, calm. She was freaking out, and she was back where she was. She turned around, and it was just a little rock arch, the trail that went into that rock little archway. It's just so small, it's like, and she tells us a lot of times to stay out of this canyon because of that rainbow bridge, and stay out of this canyon because we got a green, a blue, and a red orb, three of them following each other around, chasing each other around. And one day she was observing, she was trying to chase her sheep back into the trail in the evening, and I guess she started panicking. She was running, she made a noise. She stopped. She looked back, and those three orbs started coming towards her because she made a noise.
Hmm.
And then she said a red one flew and hit her right in the head, and she woke up, in the middle of the night by herself.
Crazy.
So,
Crazy.
yeah, just stories like that. And I have another witness last night. She told me a really good story, that she was driving down Old Oribe. She was on the Hopi Res, and it was snowing. It was snowing, and down the road they seen a polar bear, not a white bear, a polar bear walking down the road, the highway, and this polar bear changed into an old Navajo lady walking without no shoes
Oh my God, that's crazy.
down the
So
road.
so is it a physical shift, you think, or is it like a
Yeah,
spiritual? Was it like
both.
it's a spiritual woman? Wow. That's
Yeah, it's
insane.
very right in front of you type of
Yeah.
deal. And this I say that this reality that we're in right now is fake. It's a dream. It's a dream because if someone can
Timelines.
figure out
We
yeah,
could do a
because
whole show on that.
yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. So you
yes,
it's
because
almost
this
like we're sleepwalking right now.
yeah, this is we're this is a dream. It's temporary, and if I don't know how they figured it out, how they merged the spirit realm with this realm,
Mm, mhm.
they can, like, the medicine man can go into your house when you're not home, go under your bed and open up, draw a circle, make a little portal way, and when you sleep, that portal opens and all these dark beings will come in and haunt your house and drive you crazy. That's what
Wow.
they do as well. Yeah, a lot of devious things, that makes you want to slap them across the head.
Yeah, right? But why? I mean, a shaman, a medicine man, aren't they supposed to be for the good of the people? Like, aren't they there to help? Why are they so deceitful and just nasty?
Psychological, what do you call it?
Mm,
It's all up here. They want charge over you. They want a charge over you. They want to tell
mm.
you what to do, dictate what you're gonna do, say,
Yeah.
where.
So I guess
It's
if you're
just
not doing well and you're having a problem, then you have to go to them and spend money to fix the problem
yeah. And
also.
sometimes they would, if you pay them extra, they would show you on a crystal rock, make a project of that man giving you a hardship, who's cursing you, but they won't tell the name. Because, like, it's very shady. It's all shady from
Mhm,
me, from my point of view. And
mhm,
a lot of times, they will never tell you who's doing this thing to you. And then another person
mhm.
can go up to the medicine man and say, "That person over there, I want him to
Yeah.
not be my neighbor. I want him gone." So they would pay the medicine man to get rid of his entire family, all the sheep, all the dogs, the cat, everything gone. That's what they do. And even, like, we have a lot of Christians on the Navajo Nation, so that's where their opponent is. They're
Mhm,
constantly fighting as we speak right now. And I do
mhm.
have some witnesses that I want to bring on that seen these battles in the spirit realm take place on the Navajo
Wow.
Nation. And then
Wow.
people driving on the
Yes.
highway, they would see these lights take place, and these battles would take place.
Mhm.
These angels and these demonic beings will fight. People will see it. The battle will spill over into this realm.
Mhm.
It's really amazing. I've seen that firsthand myself, and
Mhm.
there's no turning back to becoming normal.
Oh, no, we can't unsee it. Darren, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts?
Well, we're spiritual creatures. We're spiritual beings. I
Mhm.
think people just tend to forget that and get so caught up uh, in this reality of money and constantly going and worrying about what you're gonna wear,
Yes.
what you're gonna eat and stuff like that.
Mm.
Uh, it, People just need to be reminded, Like, and some of the people that I want to get on to is people that encountered, you know, demons, angels, or been
Mhm.
your or seen. I actually have one person that I want to bring in that had was holding a church tent revival, and in that meeting they had a person they had an exorcism, and the person
Mm.
was floating above the ground,
Oh yeah, that
speaking in
happens a lot.
tongues, and
Mhm.
it. I want to bring him on and let him tell what he's seen.
I've seen that sort of
It's it
thing. Yeah.
it,
That's
it goes
crazy.
it yes it is, and that's
Nails on a
some things that
chalkboard.
just happen. Yeah, that just happens. It happens out here.
Mhm.
Uh,
Ugh, got
we,
the chills.
we gotta bring in the good side too. Like
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
Yeah,
how would you
that
say it?
that alone,
Heavenly
that part,
encounters.
yeah. That one is like another can of worms. Like all these topics on the Navajo Nation is just an extra. It's just extra. Everything is just more
Mhm.
potent. The spirit realm and like
Mhm.
even playing with the Ouija board one time. I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And
We're all
that's
15 when we do that. It's a bad idea. Yeah.
yeah. So everything is just is a little more potent on the Navajo Nation.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Oh,
And a lot of
Yeah,
potent
people
you
would be an
say
can.
we're right.
understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right on a grid line, a special, some kind of magical grid line. That's what I've been
Mhm.
hearing as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you people that come out here too. You just drive and you can just see the beauty. Like just see the beauty of the world in some
Mhm.
areas, and it's totally sublime
Mhm.
to the point where
Mhm.
you sit there and you see the sunset. You come out here, it seems like you see the sunset for the first time, see the sunrise for the first time. Yeah,
Mhm.
it, this area is, it's my home. I can't.
Mhm.
Every time I leave for work, always happy to come back to my house, and come back
Mhm.
to my nation.
Mhm.
Uh, it's a totally, it's almost a spiritual side of it. Like you can awaken a certain character in yourself. Just coming out on the Navajo reservation in some areas, it's
Mhm.
people just
Mhm.
really
Well,
got to remember the beauty of the world.
yeah,
It
I
does
think
it
that's a
does
good
feel
thing.
like you can breathe a little bit better on the Navajo Nation.
Hmm.
Every time I enter that border, it's just like, it's just
Mhm.
Yeah,
less of a rat race.
Mhm.
Like over
Mhm.
yeah,
there, the time is
exactly,
slow. Yeah, it's slow. You're like
exactly.
underwater. Like everything is just it's fine. It's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do
But
you
when it's
say it?
not, it's not.
So you're not
Living on
living
Indian
on
time.
on edge per se all the time, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah,
places where you could go that are just very grounding and therapeutic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I worked in the
When
oil
I'm
field
little.
in Odessa, and oh man, it gets ugly. Like you can just see money
Mhm.
just running and driving people.
Mhm.
Just willing to push someone on the road just to get ahead of them.
Mhm. Mhm.
It, it's ugly. It's an ugly
Mhm.
reality that we live in. But man, it's always nice to go home and
So
just
do you
take a
think
breather.
maybe this is why, like, why do you think it is this incredible spiritual place? I think, and it's what you make of it. It's got a great, ancestral, I mean, let's face it, there've been people there for thousands of years. You have beings that live underground. You have beings that come from the stars. You have beings that are in the water. I mean, there's a mix of everything because obviously, I mean, it's a special place, in many ways. And I think you just have a whole bunch of different beings trying to exist in one spot. And sometimes dimensionally speaking, in these dimensions seem to cross over quite a bit. And, maybe that's what you're seeing a lot of is just dimensional stuff that are just coming in and out, and you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong
Oh,
time
oh,
or right?
oh yes.
So
That's how it is. Even with their cultural entities, but
mhm,
they are close cousins right there. The Hopis, they have their Kachinas,
mhm,
and we I have a couple of people that actually seen them.
mhm,
These spiritual beings that the you can, if you don't know what a Kachina doll is,
mhm.
just do a quick Google search. You'll see
Yeah.
it, and people see these creatures walking around. And uh, I had one that said it poked its head out of the ground, you know, it, and it was wearing a rainbow necklace. Like where do we go with that?
Mhm,
Maybe these beings that the culture created were were real. Like people see them.
mhm.
They the
Yeah.
elder people used to work with them, and
Mhm,
even or traditional baby chase or
mhm,
Yeah,
drum
a
dancers,
lot of
dancers.
from what I remember, the Kachinas, when the Star People landed on the mountain San Francisco Peak outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, they
mhm,
landed up there. So our tribe went up there, their tribe went up there, and most likely other neighbor tribes went up to that mountain to go meet them because that mountain on top was lit. It was bright. These Star People were up there, and
mm.
what they did
Incredible.
was the Hopi, they offered their daughter, and then those Star People, they made the little mini version of them to give to the girl. So give this to her, albeit around her whole life. So
Mhm,
they would give that to the girls. And for us, we would
mm,
skinwalker. We sacrifice our loved one for the knowledge of war, the knowledge of assassinating, the knowledge of hunting and tracking, and to
mm.
always
So
be the
one is
one
very
last
loving and the
standing.
other one is very aggressive.
We have it's both sides on
Yeah.
each of us. They have their dark side. I would rather have a Hopi member come on and tell that
Yes.
both sides,
Yes.
instead of
Mhm,
me. And like for
mhm,
us, we have the bright side and light side of the things, like everyone,
mm.
the yin and yang, the
Yes.
yin needs yang to survive in the battle. So is
Mhm,
the medicine men, they're balanced
mm,
with the inside and out. And some of the medicine men may have more balance with the darkness. And he's
mhm,
full blown skinwalker. And then some were more balanced with the light.
mhm,
They can help reverse curses that the dark one's done. Like I really would compare them to the Jedi, the dark
mhm,
side and light side. The whole that George Lucas based that whole movie off of is the Native American culture, the light
mhm,
side and the dark side of the force. It's the same thing with the medicine man. It's
mhm.
very, very interesting. And we'll definitely have a medicine man come on here eventually and explain a
Cool.
lot of these mysterious.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do that, which is interesting
Hmm.
because you have a lot
Yeah.
of people in your culture, in your community that they don't wanna talk about this stuff. They just want it to go away, either out of fear or out of, not wanting to attract attention to themselves. I guess it's
Mhm.
bad for business in a way, but be good for other
Yeah.
businesses in a way as well.
Yeah. A lot of I
Mm.
think a lot of the mindset is how the culture right now has taken everything from us. And then the
Mhm,
last thing that we have is these stories, from
mhm,
culture to paranormal, and a lot of
mhm,
them don't want to share at all with the outside,
mhm,
and for us, I think being transparent as possible and
mhm,
educating everyone that is not indigenous that may be a different color than us, educate them on how our culture is and how it is being indigenous and not just claiming, this tribe and, versus being actually from there and getting your scars and bruises and, having wet yourself when you see something that you shouldn't be seeing,
Yeah.
something scary. So like, our culture is very vast and it's ever changing and we're adapting to this day and age right now. Like right now we're on this podcast. We went from smoke signals. Now we're on here.
I know. Look at you go.
Yes,
Look at you
yes,
go.
yes. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to start the podcast was to give a safe haven, for
Mhm.
people that go through this paranormal horror, terror.
Mhm.
Uh, it, I want them and whoever people are listening right now is to let them know it's okay. Like
Mhm.
you're not the only one. There's people out here that went through it, dealt with it, and are going through it right now.
Mhm.
Especially on the Native American side, the culture side. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of hush hush, uh,
And did you
but
think, Darren, that part of
for
it is
us,
the fear of not being believed by the outside world?
oh, oh yes, oh, yeah, yeah. Uh, you
Yeah.
you you tell a story to someone who doesn't believe, and they I know for a
Laugh at
fact
you.
that they would look at you and call you a liar because
Mm.
I know that's what happened to me when I told
Mhm.
when I talked about my Dogman encounter, and like why ask what I seen, and
Mhm.
then I tell you what I seen, and then I get called a damn liar, like
Mhm.
that's like, but
Yeah.
I want people to know that there are people out here that believe you,
Mhm.
especially on the Native American side. It's really a taboo to talk
Mhm.
about it, but people go through it almost on a daily basis. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
you know, if you want to be cataloged, get a hold of us. We'll gladly listen to you, and if you want to,
Mm.
you can be on a
Mm.
podcast. You can have your own episode
Yeah.
for your own
And
paranormal
tell
events.
the world,
Yeah, yeah.
It's very difficult, but I think the first step is knowing that there's a place, as Kat says, a safe place to go where they can tell their story. Not everybody may want to be seen on camera. That's okay.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to hide the identity. And I imagine in some cases you're going to probably run across that as well because you still have to live within the community.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's gets
Yeah.
awkward
That's
really quick.
Yeah.
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 But
Yes.
I always been that weirdo that always like, well, there's lights in the trees, and you guys seen that? And they're like, oh, okay, like whatever, dude. Like, well, look,
I saw it.
I
I'm
know,
telling
like,
everybody. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like,
I was that guy
well,
too. Yeah.
yeah, like, well, look at me now. Now we got a podcast where we can talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
like,
They say don't whistle at
look,
night, and we did. Now we're here.
So,
yeah.
you know
Now
what? So
look at
so
us now.
tell us what does "Don't Whistle at Night," what is the reference to that so people know? Because I think it's a great title.
Uh,
Go ahead, Darren.
well, it's more of a cultural taboo, you know.
Yeah.
It's just strung all the way across the Native American culture. Like, don't whistle at night.
Mhm.
Uh, you just it calls in the spirits, you would say, or you give away
Yeah.
your, just common sense, like give away your position. You know,
Yes.
uh, so that's basically what we're doing right now. Is we're calling in the people that went through, uh, paranormal events
Mhm.
and letting them tell their stories. And well, I hate to say it, but we're putting ourselves out there for the
Mhm.
hate
Yeah.
and the I hate to say it, but the possibility of us getting witched ourselves for talking about such subjects as
Mhm.
medicine men and
Mm.
Even the
You're
talking about,
putting a bullseye on your back is what you're doing, essentially.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I hate to say it, but
Let's
There was
just sum
a
it up. Yeah.
yeah. There's a
yeah,
thing that there's some that I wanted to add in that whistle at night. There's like reasons why you don't whistle at night. There's a few times where family and mine we whistle inside my great grandmother's house, and
Mhm,
my grandpa's like, "Hey," telling his son, "Don't whistle." My uncle, and
mhm,
he whistled again. Then we heard what sounded like a huge horse running, breathing, and kicked the crap out of the door. Boom! And my grandpa's like, "That's why you don't whistle at night."
Wow.
And
That's
then
spooky. Like,
yeah,
that's yeah. So
yeah,
you're
yeah,
attracting attention to yourself and
yeah.
not what you
yeah,
hear.
Yep,
yeah,
especially the northern lights. When you see the northern lights, when you
Mhm,
whistle, that northern light will come all the way down to the surface of the earth
mhm,
and look for who's whistling.
mhm,
So that's another thing you don't whistle. And then one of the big thing is the number one thing reason why you don't whistle is because Sasquatch whistles at night when he hunts. And when you whistle, you're
mhm,
interfering with his when he's conducting his hunting and he's coming to you because it's another Sasquatch whistling, say, "Hey, I'm over here." They're coordinating where they're gonna
mhm,
attack this deer or whatever they're hunting something. So they're
mhm.
ambush hunters.
Yeah,
So when you whistle, you're saying, "Hey, I'm right here. I'm player number 3 or I'm player number 5," because Sasquatch is never alone. And when you
right.
whistle, he'll whistle back and he'll come to you. When you'll see him whistle, his lip will be open. You'll see his blocked teeth and whistle through that teeth. You'll see it yourself. So that's one of
Yeah,
the reasons why we can't whistle at night.
yeah.
and
No.
of
Um,
course, yeah, of course, we got all the your Bigfoot encounters too. All the tribal
yes.
names for him. Beside, we did one interview, and the older man, kind of scolded me for using the word Bigfoot. I was like, oh, like, and he gave his culture name for Bigfoot and his
Mm,
stories, his culture
mhm,
backstories for a
mhm,
Bigfoot. Even last night, me and Danny were talking about. Well, actually, I was telling Danny about stories of helping Bigfoot. There's even
yeah.
Navajo stories that
Ooh,
when
we got
the
less
Navajos
than
were
three
coming back
minutes.
from the long walk, uh, coming back from the
Mhm,
long walk, a Bigfoot was helping them get back home. So
mhm. That's nice.
that's a couple of subjects that we want to cover on
Mhm.
our podcast, Don't Whistle at Night podcast. Also, little people. You know,
Yeah.
it seems like every culture has little people, and we got them too. And we got the stories. So
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gonna get really good.
we got
Stay tuned,
everything.
folks.
Yeah,
Stay tuned.
yeah.
So I love
Also,
We
that.
got some stuff lined up.
live footage investigations as well.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
lots of stuff will come for that. And you have to watch these guys when UPRN starts doing pay-per-view and pay-per-listen. That's going to be a lot of interesting stuff coming. So pay attention to the whole network. But I think you guys will end up, these guys will put you right there in the thralls of what's going on. So, so with that being said, we've got like less than 2 minutes. So every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain Time,
Well, standard time.
Mountain Time,
Mhm.
and you guys are going to have to tune in. So some shows will be pre-recorded, some shows will be live right here. Live would be good because look, everybody in the chat room loves you
Yep.
guys. So see, Carolyn's like, yeah, all about it. So, so, so guys, thank you so very much for having me as your guest host to help introduce you all to the network. I think it's so exciting. I was extremely excited at the whole when we were in talks about it, and now it's all come to fruition. Now we're here. You've put a couple of the guests to me to have a look at. I was like, wow, this is going to be fantastic. So there's no doubt that you guys can only expect really amazing things from Don and Darren. Anything you guys want to say before I sign us off?
Please like and subscribe, please, guys.
Right there.
What about you, Darren?
Right
Uh,
there.
Tune in. We got the stories. We got We got the people. We got all sort of weirdness
All
and all
sort of
their stories that come
weirdness.
with it.
And all of us
Yes.
weirdies will be watching. So thank you all to everyone in chat for tuning into Don't Whistle at Night podcast here on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. Catch the guys next week. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.
All right.